How's it going, guys? Welcome to another edition of Griot's Garage YouTube Live. I am Nick.
And I'm Sam.
And we hope you brought your A game today. We're going to be talking about one-step polishing, the most intense polishing process on planet Earth.
Of course.
Yeah. No, we've got a great topic. We got a lot of good questions from you all. So I think we're going to pretty much dive right in. But we did want to say that we've got some awesome giveaways. So feel free to submit. We kind of have taken a new tactic. We're definitely going to award some pre-submits, but you guys have been giving us so much great questions through the live that we're just going to assign pretty much at our own free will. We're not going to put a number to it, but if you run out of questions, we're probably going to run out of stuff to give you. So.
Definitely works out in your favor.
Yeah.
The proverbial bean counters probably aren't happy about us
Exactly.
taking the rails off, but hey.
We are poking the bean counters, as always. So, man, it's the end of January. It's kind of crazy.
It was a whirlwind.
Yeah. We got a great month.
Into 2020.
I know. We're ready to go. We're already working on all sorts of new products to bring your way. Our spring season is coming up pretty close. Been selling a lot of ceramic, so thank you guys. I hope you're enjoying it. Let us know if you've been using the ceramic 3-in-1 wax in the comments.
Yes.
Tell us what you think about it. We're pretty proud of it, but even so, want to hear your feedback.
Yeah, and post your pictures and your thoughts on social media. Hashtag us. Maybe we'll send something your way for that too.
Yeah, definitely. If you're using Instagram or Facebook, hashtag Griot's Garage, hashtag have fun in your garage, hashtag car care for the perfectionist. We'll find you one way or another. Recirculate those things.
Absolutely. Never hurts to leave us reviews on our website either.
Yeah, especially if you win something. We want to see photos.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've got a cool caffeine and gasoline event coming up this weekend. It's hot rods. It looks like the weather's going to hold off here, so if you're in the Tacoma area, come by. We're going to be doing those custom T-shirts. They're essentially custom T-shirts on demand by a local guy who runs a company called Group 6. It's awesome. You can come up, tell him your size, what color T-shirt you want. He'll print you one right away.
I think you can also bring your own T-shirt or hoodie for him to screen print too. If you already have a blank T-shirt or hoodie and you want something Griot's Garage on it, bring it on in.
No tattooing though.
No tattooing. Yeah, sorry. You gotta do that on your own time.
Yeah. So yeah, we're gearing up. I mean, it's been miserable here, but it's gonna be spring before we know it.
The end is near. And keep in mind, you don't have to have a hot rod to come to the Caffeine and Gasoline. We welcome any and all styles, makes, and models of cars to come join us. But the theme is hot rods. So the auto display will be filled up with street rods and hot rods, and the parking lot should be full of them as well. So, well, also, did you want to let out any info about the future Caffeine and Gasoline growth potential?
Oh, no, not yet.
Okay, we'll wait.
Sorry.
More to come on that.
I know where you're going yet. We also did have a question from Luis Mentudoza, why we weren't at the Grand National Roadster Show. We've got an awesome events team, and we like to go to the events whenever we can, but we got our hands full. We've got an enormous queue of products that we're working on. We are going on a couple trips that are product related, but we will get to some shows as well later in the year. So we don't get to go to all of them. But
yeah, I think we were down in Pomona. Hard to be in two places at once, right?
Yeah. So again, it's just a luck of the draw. We definitely circulate a lot of our employees to go to different shows. So I don't know. Did anybody else comment below if you went and saw us at the Barrett-Jackson show as well?
That was a good one. It's always a good one.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. So yeah, we addressed that question, but where's Stevie? Stevie's behind the lens today, so we'll see her some other time very shortly. In fact, you guys are taking the next one.
She'll be back in 2 weeks from today.
Yeah.
So
Be
patient. Be patient. You will see more Stevie.
Okay.
Got a lot of questions coming in.
Yeah, we do. Love seeing you guys. Love your questions and participation. So
should we clear that one up again?
Yeah, sure.
Rumors of a second version of a G9. There will be no second version. Well, as with a lot of other companies out there that strive to do the best for their customers, we're constantly improving our products in every way that we can. That means that there may be improvements from the day a tool launches to 6 months or a year later. There will be slight improvements to the G9s and other orbitals as we learn from the development and as our manufacturer is willing to innovate with us and improve the tool. But as far as a second generation or a second version, those rumors are not true. So the tool has been slightly changed in a couple little ways in terms of body molds.
Yeah, it's nothing that would be really functional. I mean, it's all like as things come out of the mold, we improve them. So again, if you have any issues with the G9, you have a lifetime guarantee against defect. There's absolutely no reason to worry. We've sold more units than you guys probably realize since its launch. We've had the smallest amount of returns and problems with that machine. So definitely squash that one. There's really no reason to worry about it. So we love the tool. We loved it the day we sold it. But we do have a partner who is ISO 9000 certified, and part of that is that they improve how they make the tool every time they do it. So that's part of that certification.
Yeah, don't wait to buy one. If you're waiting on a second version, buy one now. All of the inventory in Indy is the most current, up-to-date version of the G9. Yeah. No second generation or anything like that, though. So
yeah, I'm glad I shaved too. It's getting hard to keep beer out of my mustache and anything with ketchup and or a lot of sauce on it. So the mustache may return, but we'll see.
And piggybacking on that question we just addressed, getting some other questions about the G15 and G21. Those will be getting a similar treatment as the 6-inch random orbital did in terms of a refresh. So just keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, we're working on all sorts of stuff for you guys. So in the meantime, again, you have our perfectly good Boss tools are out on the market, doing great. So let's see. Let's get to some one step. Let's talk about the concept of one step, and then we'll address some specific process questions. You guys submitted a lot about. When does a pad burn out? Am I using too much? Do I have to do this before that? So we'll address all those as we get into demonstrating the process. But in general, one step simply refers to the amount of paint correction steps we're doing, right?
Yes.
And likewise, if you're doing a paint correction and then applying a separate form of protection, that is 2 steps. Right, so
absolutely.
One step is a combination of a abrasive, generally a mild one, paired with a protectant step. So we have 3 products that exemplify what would be used with a one-step process.
These are also commonly known as all-in-ones in the industry. A product that delivers correction and protection all in one product. R3 will be one-step sealant, liquid wax 3-in-1, and finishing sealant. A few differences among these 3. Finishing sealant is the only one that's developed specifically for application via a long throw random orbital. That is because long throw orbitals impart more heat and friction onto the surface, which is a little bit harder on the liquids that you're applying. So this has some different chemistry to prevent it from essentially curing prematurely and leaving any sort of buffer trails or outlines of your passes, if you will, as you apply the product. These 2, if you apply them at high speed on a long throw orbital, they will likely leave buffer trails behind. So this is the only one that you want to be applying with your long throw orbitals. The liquid wax 3-in-1 is going to be a carnauba-based version. This one will give you better color and depth, specifically on a dark finish like the black 944 here. And then the one-step sealant is a synthetic version. So this is going to give you more durability, little less appearance enhancement. But if you have a vehicle that's daily driver stored outside, one-step's a great product. And then for some of your darker colored vehicles or finishes that may not get abused quite as much, the liquid wax 3-in-1 is a great option. And then finishing sealant, this one won't be quite as durable as these 2 because of what I mentioned at the start of the compatibility with a long throw, but it's still going to give you, normally a few months of durability if you're maintaining it correctly, and it finishes down the best of the 3. So if you're working on a really soft or delicate finish, this one is going to finish down as the final finish, the best of the three here.
Yeah, I also really love one-step sealant for gel coats.
Yes.
So RVs and boats in particular are great. They're super responsive to it. That's part of the chemistry behind that product, the delivery of the polymer sealant. Again, I made most of my money detailing with one-step processes.
You and me both.
One-step sealant was my go-to product. I'm going to detail maybe a kind of a soccer mommy vehicle, a minivan, or a Suburban.
Daily drivers.
Something that just needs a total refresh. I'm spending most of my time in the interior vacuuming up Cheerios and French fries. I literally can go around the entire car with a one-step process, brighten that paint up, leave behind a polymer sealant, maybe dig into some specific scratches if requested to do so. But rarely does a car that is treated like a tool demand multiple steps, especially if you're doing it on a care regimen. Like my wife's car will get a one-step process twice a year.
Yeah.
All right, and then I spot treat. So it's a really great tool to have in your arsenal. If you ever see that, it's a great way to really learn as well, because the abrasives aren't so aggressive that you're going to cut too much paint off, and really they're not aggressive enough that you would be able to use them multiple times per year. Really, the difference between these two is going to be the nature of the use of your car. Carnauba, less durable than a polymer synthetic product, so it would err towards, oh, I'm going to brighten up my show car. I want to do it by machine. Boom.
Especially if it may not need a ton of correction. I mean, like Nick said, with your tool cars of sorts, daily drivers, you're loading your kids in and out, things like that. A lot of times you wouldn't want to put multiple steps into a car like that and get it perfect, because it's going to be tough to keep it that way.
Yeah.
And same as if you're doing a car for a customer, if it's a daily driven vehicle or a vehicle that customer may not need perfect, a lot of folks will be more than happy with the results that these provide in situations that don't demand absolute perfection, or you just need to get the job done quick, and you may have a customer that doesn't want to pay as much, but they still want good results. Great way to go with the one step.
Yeah, I think when I was doing it back as a teenager, it was about $200. My details would take about 5 to 6 hours, depending on the size of the car. And I could get, after a wash, decontamination, I could generally do a one-step paint correction in about an hour and a half. So it was really cost effective for somebody that wanted that kind of touch-up, but it also wasn't like deep dive, extensive correction. So it really is a wonderful kind of tool to have in A, if you're a professional detailer, B, if you're just starting out. Again, like I said, we kind of introduce people with one-steps because the amount they'll change the paint the first time you use a tool without that risk of introducing more abrasive than you need.
Yeah, great intro product.
And likewise, again, you can change your car in the littlest amount of time, get comfortable with that tool, and then realize, oh man, that product did that much. What could multiple steps do to improve my finish? So,
and you can't get yourselves in much trouble with these either. They're very user-friendly, very safe.
yeah.
So super easy to use. A couple of questions of recommendations for getting them out of pads. One-step products can be more difficult to get out of pads because of the protection ingredients that are in there. I think one of the guys that asked said he was using hot water and wringing the pad. I couldn't tell from your question if you're using any type of cleaner or not, but if you're not, that's definitely going to be your first step. Our microfiber and faux pad cleaner does an exceptional job. Ideally, give yourself the time to soak the pads and let them dwell for a while to let that cleaner break everything down before you come in and agitate and knead them. We do have a pretty thorough video on pad washing on our YouTube channel, so check that one out for the best practices for washing your pads. Also, don't overuse these. If you're loading your pad up, they will be very difficult to get out when you get a really heavy amount in there.
Yeah. One step can cause you some problems if you overload it.
And that's probably one of the bigger mistakes you see people make with these, right? Is they're trying to run one pad on a whole car and they're reapplying every panel and just putting a lot of product in that pad. So you want to avoid that ideally. Swap your pads.
We will demonstrate proper buttering. Sam will definitely do that, or I will do that. It's not hard, but again, a little goes a long way after that first kind of lubrication of the pad surface. One other quick question. the G9 is not a long throw orbital. 9 refers to the offset or throw of the orbital. 9 millimeters is generally considered short stroke. There's no real clear line, but you can. I think it's probably safe to say 12 millimeter is when you'd consider it 9 millimeter, and essentially
consider a long throw. Anything above 12.
12 millimeter, and really you're going to notice just a lack of maneuverability with that long throw, but you're going to get a little bit more temperature, a little bit faster results. I don't think there'd be any fear in my mind if you were kind of mechanically adept picking up a 15 millimeter long throw the first time. You're probably going to be okay, but if you're still unsure, G9 is a great place to start. Get great results with that, and you can build your tool arsenal into long throws secondarily.
Good way to tell if you're putting too much product in your pads too is take your pad and kind of press your thumb or a finger into it. If you can push product out of the pad, like you're getting a glob of polish coming out, you're probably using a little bit on the heavy side.
Yeah, and even so, at that point in time, you might want to take that pad off and wring it, scrape some of that excess off.
Yeah, or swap it to a fresh pad.
Just get rid of that.
Best case.
So we did have some questions about how many pads to use per vehicle. How many pads do you know you use per vehicle? I think really a lot of that is if you've got a few pads, say 2 to 3, you should probably use those pads when you do a singular job.
Yeah, I mean, for a one-step, I would say 2 to 3 at minimum, ideally. I mean, to be completely honest, the more pads you use, the better. The easier it's going to be for you, the more consistent defect removal you're going to achieve, the faster defect removal you're going to achieve. You know, of course, you don't need to use 20 pads on one car. That'd be a lot of pad washing. But having, 4 to 6 to swap between is definitely best case scenario.
Yeah. I mean, when I was starting out, I would generally, I had good discipline, but generally 2 products. Get to a Suburban, or 2 pads, always 3.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of, as I learned more and more, especially with a thinner pad, those tend to load up quicker because there's less foam to absorb it, to absorb that product. And because they're so thin, they can take on liquid, and that added weight of the liquid actually creates a little bit more vibration at a certain point. So you would cycle them faster.
That's a great point.
With a 1-inch thick pad, you kind of have a little bit more flexibility, but just change your pads.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it means you got to clean more pads. It means you probably have to buy more pads, but it also means your pads are probably going to last longer. And like you said, consistent results throughout the car.
Pads aren't necessarily cheap, so taking care of them is ideal. You won't have to make the investment as often. If you're buying more up front, taking care of them, swapping them, you won't have to replace them as frequently. So that's another good tip.
So Corey, how many pads on a 4-door sedan? Probably comfortably 2.
Yeah, 2 to 4.
Yeah.
2 at minimum.
If you're using the 1-inch standard pads, you could probably do 2. If you're using the Boss pads, probably 4. Really just err on the upside, right? You can never use too many. Well, maybe so. If you're buttering your pad every time you're putting it on the surface, you're using too many.
Yeah. Definitely. But I mean, yeah, like we said, 2 to 4 on a normal sized car for a 1-step. If if you feel like your pads are getting hot and soft quickly, that can be one reason to swap more frequently. If you're running at higher speeds, they will soften up faster too. You can also cycle pads, which is going to be better than just trying to run one on the whole car. Say you only have 2 pads, you run one for 2 body panels, pull that one off, put your new pad on, let that first pad cool. When it gets cooled down and firms back up, after you're done with a couple more panels, pull your second pad off, put your first pad back on, use a pad conditioning brush or compressed air to blow it out, and then keep working. And you can swap pads back and forth like that as well.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Can you use correcting cream with the G9? Of course. The correcting cream, the Boss line of creams are designed for the temperature tolerance of a long throw machine, and in some cases rotary. They're not specifically designed for rotary in mind, but they're designed for long throw, but that doesn't mean they can't be used with a short stroke machine very effectively. So no fear. In fact, use those products with the G9.
They'll amp up performance of your G9 virtually in every way. And same goes for the Boss pads. I mean, I personally pretty much exclusively use the Boss pads. I like them a little better in terms of performance. They cut a little bit faster. They're a little lower center of gravity. You know, the lower profile and the cooling hole help them stay a little bit cooler. Overall, you know, they're going to be a slightly higher performing pad. And the Boss creams on the G9, you'll have just about an infinite working cycle as well. So a lot of buffing time.
Yeah, and we did get a question. I have an older machine. Is there anything specific to those older machines? And let's say you have a Gen 1 Griot's Garage Orbital from 2006, which had the 4 mounting brackets for the backing plate.
The 4 screws, yeah.
Our backing plates will fit Gen 2 and up. So those backing plates are pretty much any Orbital we sold from 2009 on. So Gen 2, Gen 3, and G9 will fit all those plates. All the pads, depending on the size of your backing plate, 5-inch or 6-inch, will fit on them. So Boss pads or standard pads. And then, of course, again, the Boss machines or the Boss creams were developed to be used with the long throw orbitals, but they can be used on the short stroke orbitals. So there's really no limitation outside of these two products won't do well going up to the long throws, right? So you do want, there is the, these particular products will bond prematurely with too much heat.
We had a good question and a good segue. How long do you leave these on the paint? So you don't want to leave them on, you know, over like an hour, I would say at the very most, but these are pretty forgiving if you leave them on for 30 minutes plus. Ideally, you do want to let these set up on the paint before you wipe them off. So normally at least 20 to 30 minutes. Let them dry to a haze before you wipe them off. I'll normally do, you know, on a smaller car like the 944, you can probably get through about half the car before you need to start wiping off and then do the other half.
And likewise with the one-step sealant, the polymer is going to do best. Not necessarily how long before I wipe off, but how long do I allow to cure post-application. Right, so those polymers tend to bond better if allowed to cure between 12 and 24 hours. The longer, the better. So those synthetics tend to settle in, and you'll get longer durability if allowed to cure. If you do this, usually, again, for like one-steps and liquid wax 3-in-1, I'll work my way around the car, and by the time I'm back around the car, I'm removing the excess.
Yep.
But in terms of post wipe-off cure, the Carnauba doesn't really apply, but the sealant in particular likes to set up overnight, 24 hours. If you took it right out into some weather, you're probably going to run it right off. So that's important to keep in mind. Don't spend all that time putting on a protectant and then force it back into weather as fast as possible.
Sometimes you don't have a choice, but ideally keep it dry for that 12 to 24 hours. That being said, if it does get wet, it's not going to completely rinse off your protection, but it will shorten the durability of it. So ideally, keep it nice and dry. We had a question, is blowing out your pads or brushing your pads mid-use as good as swapping them out or replacing them? Definitely not. You know, brushing them with a pad brush or blowing them out with compressed air will help a lot. We always recommend doing that. Usually I do that after every panel at the very least. That'll allow you to run that one pad longer and maintain effective correction without beating up the pad too much. But it is going to be best that you still swap your pads. So even if you're cleaning your pad after every section, we'd still recommend using 2 pads for a full small car or more.
Yeah. Cleaning pads, what would you use to do it? So you can use microfiber foam pad or microfiber and foam pad cleaner. It's a booster. You can pour it, and how I tend to clean pads is warm water. I'll put in, you can use Dawn dish detergent as well. The pads are pretty forgiving.
It's not quite as strong as the microfiber cleaner.
It isn't, but if you're in a pinch and you want to clean your pads before they dry, use it.
Better than nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Down.
And it'll help pull out some of the stuff that's on top. But I usually flush the pad with warm water, then apply either the booster in the microfiber foam pad cleaner or again in a pinch Dawn. Knead it in with your thumbs and then wring the pad as you're rinsing it out. Stand it on its end to air dry. You can machine wash the pads. You definitely don't want to machine dry them. It will warp the foam and potentially make it curl so it won't adhere as well to your backing plate in the future. But pad cleaning is a terrible job. I hate doing it.
It's like hand washing dishes.
Yeah, you just
Not
don't. But it gets a lot worse if you don't do it that night.
Yeah.
Just do it right after you get done.
Yeah, that's probably my worst habit is filling up a 30-gallon garbage bag full of pads before I clean them, and then you're spending 4 hours washing pads and hands turn to raisins. It's no fun. We also had a question of, are pad washers better than hand washing? In my opinion, no, they're not. I've used pad washers several times and have never achieved as clean of a pad as I do when I simply hand wash them. They're also, tend to be messier, and you're using an electric tool in a bucket of water, which, there is some risk involved there. So.
Some Darwinian incident can potentially happen.
Yeah, don't drop your orbital in the bucket if you're using a pad washer.
Yeah.
But I mean, they work. I just don't personally think they work as well as doing it by hand. They can speed it up for you though, so there are benefits to it.
I had a question in there. I'm gonna put you on the spot. Favorite dad joke?
Oh gosh.
I've got one. It's like the one my dad told me all the time.
Yeah.
It will never leave my brain. I used to be a baker, but I quit because I couldn't make enough dough.
That's a great one. Mine's a classic. I think my dad pulled this one out a lot when I was little. Dad, I'm hungry. Hi, hungry. I'm Dad.
Nice to meet you. Yes. All right. I had an uncle who did that to me quite a bit. Thirsty. You're so thirsty.
Great way to piss off your kids.
Yeah. So, what is the origin of that name?
Yeah.
It just really pin them to a wall.
What? Huh?
Okay. So we did have. Let's give some stuff away. All right.
Let's do it.
We had some awesome giveaways. We love interacting with you guys. Thank you so much. Fab, we saw you in there. Gripe Twins, how you guys doing? True Adonis, NAU 1998. I've seen you a few times. So thank you guys for coming back. Joe Edgar.
Yes.
We really appreciate you guys,
love you guys
helping us make this a thing. We're having a lot of fun. We did want to note we are having some technical issues on our website, so we won't have a promo this live, and if you're checking out right away, unfortunately, you're going to have some problems with our website.
The giveaway is really good, though.
Yeah, we've been working on it. Please be kind to us, but I will say this. You're probably going to come back with a vengeance with our next YouTube Live.
Yeah, and if you're having issues on the web and you need to place an order today, give us a call. We'll help you out.
And before we get to prizes, we are going to remind you, if you like watching us, the least you can do for us is subscribe to our channel, follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Send us some love that way. Hashtag Griot's Garage. We'll send love back your way.
Don't forget to like the videos too. That helps us out. And hit the notification bell so you get notified anytime we're putting out new content.
Yeah. So our first giveaway, I'm going to pick this guy. It was submitted via Instagram. It is 135 by 3. And I just think it's a good thing to address because we talk about the garage space as if everybody has a garage. Garage, from Griot's Garage, is sort of a mentality, right?
Absolutely.
It's your checkout, your therapy. If you're fortunate enough to have a garage space that isn't filled with your wife's Christmas decorations, then even though those are important, but that you can utilize for working on your car.
Love Christmas.
It's a blessing. We live in America. We have a high standard of living, thankfully. But at the same time, there are some adverse conditions. So,
first world problems.
135 by 3 asks, what are ideal conditions for doing this outside? He doesn't have a garage. And you are going to be our first winner, 135 by 3. So if you're watching, thank you for that question. It gives us a good topic to kind of launch off on.
Yeah. I mean, a few rules of thumb for doing stuff outdoors. I mean, temperature is going to be a big one. Ideally, you're in that 50 to 75 sweet spot, I would say. Anything too much colder than 50, you're going to have a hard time drying products off the surface and so on. Our PFM towels do help out a lot with that. And anything too hot, again, you're going to have the opposite problem of stuff drying too quickly and being difficult to wipe off in some situations. So stay out of direct sunlight. I would say it's okay in some situations to work in heat as long as the surface isn't hot. So if the car's been sitting in the shade all day, but it's warmer outside, you're going to be better off in that situation than a car that's been sitting in direct sun that you pull into the shade where the paint's still 140 degrees.
It's going to radiate, right?
Yeah.
So I completely agree. I mean, when I was detailing, I almost never detailed in somebody else's garage.
Rarely.
I would be detailing early in the morning. I would, generally would arrive at about 7:30.
Yep.
So I get my washing done before the full heat of the day was on. Easy ups are great. Any shade you can create or incorporate just to get out of direct sunlight, like Sam said. Stay away from trees as your for shade, because if you're trying to get out of the sun, it's probably warm, and if you're under a tree, it's probably going to pit or drop some stuff on you.
Or at least pollen at that time of year.
And then you're chasing your tail. So really just kind of manage your sun. Obviously doing it in the morning is better because the sun is getting brighter as opposed to working against the light at night. So you aren't really able to gauge your results as well. But yeah, just cool conditions. If the surface is giving you enough temperature to say, I don't like touching that, don't put a machine on it.
Yeah.
Stay away from that.
Good rule of thumb.
You can live to see another day. Your car can have swirl marks until it's the right condition to do so.
And for washing in warm weather or hot weather, if you have to wash the car and you don't have shade, I would recommend using a rinseless option instead of a traditional car wash if you have that as an option, because you're going to have less issues with water spots. You have a little more control when you're using a rinseless option. You can do smaller sections. You don't have to get the whole car wet, so you're not fighting time and water spots quite as badly. So it can be quite a bit easier for you.
Yeah. So simple answer. All this stuff can be done outside. Just be wary of your conditions. Don't introduce variables that are going to create more work for yourself. We had a question. Caffeine and gasoline kid friendly?
Absolutely.
Yes,
yeah.
we love having kids come out.
I'm bringing my 6-year-old on Saturday.
It's one of the most just open car events you could possibly imagine. There's no price for entry. We give you donuts and coffee. Don't give your kids coffee unless you're that kind of parent and you want to see what happens.
Tell them
there.
to keep their hands in their pockets.
Yeah,
too.
definitely good place to teach some car show etiquette. But we don't roll out a bouncy gym every weekend.
No.
But that'd be. Talk about pissing off bean counters. Our insurance would go up quite a bit. You've seen a kid's neck bend in a bouncy thing before. Goodness gracious.
I've seen a few bounce house injuries.
Yeah.
In,
so yes, bring your kids. Start them young. It only takes one car to plant the seed of automotive affection, and this is an industry and passion that we care about. Right? We're not. We have fun doing this because we love where we work and we love the topic. So
cars are fun for kids. Most kids love cars, I feel like. It's just natural. And you can start making games out of it, have them guess what types of cars they're seeing on the road and get them familiar at a young age.
Do you have an image for the
yeah, I was gonna say,
okay.
Let them know what they want.
Okay, so
giveaway.
Yeah, so 135 by
Minor
3, we're going to show you what you won, but we're going to tell you what you won as well. And for all you sitting on the sidelines not participating, start firing away, because we have a pretty good giveaway to just get you started with one-step corrections. So it is a 6-pack of Ultra Plush edgeless towels, the blue towels you see over here, 22 ounces of speed shine, a Boss Swirl Finder light, which is a really awesome tool, especially understanding paint conditions. Brilliant Finish synthetic clay, so you've got your clay paired with your lubricant and speed shine, a 2-pack of 6.5-inch orange foam correcting pads, and Boss Finishing Sealant.
Full setup.
You got a lot coming your way. That is the giveaway. So don't be shy. Submit your questions. Matt, beautiful graphic.
With that, all you need is your orbital, and you're ready for one-step detailing.
Yep. You love having kids. Will you take mine? We've got our hands full, man. We're both dads.
I've got a third on the way, so no way.
Sam's 2 months away from needing to get a bigger car.
Yeah, yep. I'm working on that right now.
Oh my goodness. So, yeah, we're not gonna volunteer for babysitting, okay?
We got babysitters tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Paint depth meter and gloss meter. We will keep that in mind.
Yeah,
boys.
we've been looking for a high quality one. The problem is one that a lot of people will buy is a piece of crap. One that nobody will buy is $1,200. So
yeah, and that's the one that you want usually.
Yeah,
the cheap ones don't work very well.
The ones that we have in the facility are definitely high quality. They are investments for sure. So if you're in the profession and doing serious corrections, you probably should have a paint meter and you probably should invest in it. If you get a $200 one, it's probably not going to tell you the difference between Bondo and paint. Not that that's an easy thing to discern anyway outside of touch, feel, and experience, but a paint meter gauge is going to, we polished on that 59 Invicta, original paint, single stage, and we had the freedom to know that, oh yeah, we had about a half mil to go. Just to get that thing prettier, but without kind of starting to see the color change and have that brown primer come through. So
yeah, you don't want to see the brown come through. I may
Yeah.
or may not have a couple spots on my Land Cruiser.
yeah.
Only from product testing, of course.
Oh, we got a lot of you in here. Who is a first-time participant? I want to hear from you. Somebody who's never been here before. Be sure to tell us this is my first time here, and then ask a question. We're gonna put something in your hands too.
We will verify this is your first time.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's what Stevie
No
is.
trying to pull a
Stevie is
fast
the
one on
gatekeeper
us.
back here. If you're trying to fool us, we will not oblige you. So,
Awesome.
do you have a shot of the 944? We want to show you car. So we've got every time we come here, we try and bring a different car in as well. We've got a pretty cool, Porsche 944s. You either love them or you hate them. I think is pretty much the universal thought on them. But this one in particular, I like.
Yeah, I honestly, I don't understand all the hate against the front engine Porsches personally, but
Well, part of it, I think, is that the kind of purists of Porsche think that it's 911 or nothing.
Yeah.
Obviously, they've made some pretty cool supercars, but
went away from the bread and butter a little bit.
there was this car comes from an era where Porsche was a little bit confused as a company in general. They were making 3 different types of cars without a lot of shared parts, so they were causing themselves quite a bit of inefficiencies. But this
Headaches.
particular 944, we're going to show you in a second. We're trailing the camera over to it.
Yes, you can use boss pads on old Orbitals from Griots. As long as you have a 5 or 6 inch backing plate, you'll be able to use the boss pads. Nope.
Hi, Valerie. Nice to see you the first time. Oh, I think she might have been.
Got some guys tooting Stevie's horn here. We're never gonna hear the end of that one. That's.
Oh gosh. So Valerie, I actually see the what you submitted to us while we're getting the 944 queued up. So you asked if we're going to come out with a line to beat one of our competitors that are true ceramic coatings for paint and wheels. Very resounding endorsement of the quality of our products. So the answer is yes, we're working on that. I think the most important thing about the high solids ceramic lines is that the industry generally is rife with people that have private labeled those products.
Yeah.
Right. So
There's a lot of saturation right now.
we have not gone on that path because we are proud of the fact that we actually manufacture and develop all of our products in-house. Now, our ceramic 3-in-1 wax was our first foray into ceramics. We had to buy special equipment for it, but it's all ours. We didn't buy it from anybody. We didn't take any shortcuts. So that's not to say that everybody does. There are a few manufacturers, but anybody that comes out of the ground with an entire offering of a very specialized chemistry, you can probably presume that they didn't make those things. So we will get there. I'm confident of that. And when we get there, like you said, Valerie, they're going to be good.
Absolutely. Can guarantee that.
Yeah. Okay, so we're ready to go with the 944? All right, so let's talk about this 944. Not going to call it a stepchild. Maybe I will, but it's a pretty freaking cool Porsche. I love it. So one of my best buddies, weren't we both talking about this? Both of our friends had 944s in high school. My buddy got a red 944S, and he used to drop the wheels off the side of the road like all the time. He hit a line of mailboxes and spun out in some gravel, all sorts of crazy stuff.
Doesn't sound like a high school kid at all.
No. Yeah, let's get this kid a rear drive red Porsche. It had single stage red paint, so it's really nice to work on. But so this particular 944 is a 1984 944 S2. What was special about the S2s is kind of like a lightweight iteration of the 944. The hottest 944 to have was the turbo, but the second hottest was the S2 because it had a bored out motor, went from a 2.7 to a 3 liter. It's naturally aspirated. That is an enormous 4-cylinder, 3 liters. 211 horsepower, 280 pound-feet of torque. It's only half second slower to 0 to 60 than the 944 turbo. This one's black. It's got tartan plaid interior, 44,000 original miles. It's pretty sweet. If we can get some close-ups a little later in the live, the paint is in great condition. However, there are some swirl marks and just general conditions that we want to cure, get it perfectly detailed. Apparently cars that come from auction houses aren't perfectly detailed.
No way.
Yeah, what do you know? Oh, sorry, did you have one?
Oh, we had
You have a winner?
Sheldon S. asking some really good questions. He asked, is it okay to use a damp pad or does it need to be dry? I would always recommend dry for sure. Some of the products don't play that well when you already have moisture in your pad. It can make them harder to wipe off and things like that. So ideally, get it dry.
All right, lots of first timers, awesome. So if you're here for your first time too, we love answering detailing questions, but we also like to reiterate that we are human beings. So you can ask us some funny stuff. If you make us laugh, there's a pretty good chance that we're gonna give you something.
Yeah, I think there's a good chance that dad joke question.
Yeah, well, we'll
was
see.
pretty
I know who asked that question, so.
Yeah, Sheldon S. or Sheldon M. I think it was your first time in here too. He's asking some good questions.
Okay.
You guys in mind.
All right, we're gonna have to do some demonstration too.
Yeah, before we run out of time.
Yeah, here's a good
Flying
question
by.
too. When do you know a pad is done or at the end of its life? What's the average life of a pad?
Average life of a pad, I would say, is tough to put a number to because a lot of that's going to depend on how well you take care of the pad and whether you're running it on entire cars or swapping it out, cleaning it, and so on. But one of the biggest indicators for me is just the condition of the pad face. When you start losing foam and the foam appears to be breaking down, there may be some visible, pieces coming out. Not big ones, but you're going to have a less consistent look to the face of the pad. I would say that's about when it's ready to toss. Or
Yeah.
if you're getting cutting at all in the edge of the foam, if the pad's gotten a lot softer, those would all be signs that it's ready to toss. Or you can also use pads that are towards the end of their life for rougher surfaces. Say you're polishing some metal, diamond plate, things like that. Save them for the rougher stuff.
All right, that is a good point. 45 minutes has gone by. We haven't turned on a machine.
No.
And we've only given away one thing. So what the heck is going on
We
with
gotta
us?
get to it. You guys are
Okay,
keeping us busy over
my
here with
BMI. I
questions.
don't know what BMI. That's a metric assessment.
Body mass index, I think, but
Oh, I know
that's
that.
Total BS
but yeah,
anyways, right?
who uses that? I'm pretty sure you only hear about that in like the UK.
Muscle, pure muscle.
Yeah.
All
Okay.
right, well, let's do some demos here,
Yeah.
shall we? One of my favorite one-step or all-in-one combos is our Boss Microfiber Pad and our finishing sealant. So this is where we'll kind of start to talk about pad versatility with an all-in-one product as well. So normally, the pad that we recommend with finishing sealant is the black finishing pad. This would be if you're using it as a finishing step. Now, if you're using it as an all-in-one on a vehicle with moderate defects like this demo hood that we have here, you can see we've got pretty good amount of swirls and some haze in there. This would simulate, a car that's been taken through an automatic car wash a couple times, or just swirled up paint like you see on a lot of the car lots out there. So this is a situation where using as a finishing step with a mild pad isn't going to get us the results we want. I want to ideally get out all of these swirl marks if I can in one step. So I'm going to use the more aggressive microfiber. That's really going to increase the cutting ability of the finishing sealant while still only having to do one step. So when you're using a pad that's brand new and you're applying some product to it, you just want to lightly butter the pad face. This is a few swirls of product, and then you can use the dome lid to rub it in, evenly distribute it over the pad face. But you don't want to cover and soak the pad with product. This is also the only time you'll apply this much, when the pad is brand new and fresh. So now we'll go ahead and start cord over the shoulder. I'm going to work a small section here on the left so that we can leave more for any other demos that you guys may want to see. I'm going to turn the machine to speed 3 or 4. I'll start at 3 for my initial pass, and then I'll slow down my arm speed and speed up the machine speed here. So first pass, I'm going to speed it up to 5. You can do an all-in-one, usually between 4 and 5. Slow down my arm speed. And I'm going to do 3 to 4 passes here. So that was one pass. We'll do our second pass. Using the crosshatch pattern. You don't have to always use the crosshatch pattern. You can follow the body lines of the car as well. So there's pass number 3. Slightly overlapping as I make passes. Pass number 4. And I'm using moderate pressure. This would be no pressure. Got a few pounds of pressure behind the orbital.
We did have a question about pressure. Like, what's too? Can you demonstrate too much?
Absolutely.
So,
too much pressure. If you're bearing down on it and slowing down pad rotation to where you can see it slow down, you're using a little too much pressure.
the machine weighs about 5 pounds, right? So generally, balancing the machine, you're essentially applying almost 5 pounds of pressure just by holding it there.
Yep.
Now, you definitely can apply more pressure, but that's pretty much the upper end of pressure. This should be comfortable. You should not be straining to operate this machine.
Exactly. Let the machine do the majority of the work for you. The more pressure you use, the more heat you're going to generate, which may, run you into some situations where it may make the product harder to wipe off, or, if you're using more aggressive products, using a lot of pressure can sometimes add to more risk as well. So, good rule of thumb, start off with no pressure. Least aggressive method necessary is always ideal, and then increase pressure as needed. You can do a test pass with light to no pressure, and then if you're not getting the results you want, bump up pressure a little bit as needed. We'll go ahead and wipe this surface.
So GORC asked, can you use a cutting pad with your sealant all-in-one? Now, our cutting pad has no foam interface. The answer is yes, but you are going to get a very aggressive result. So the microfiber in that setup could potentially cause some marring, even though you've got a very gentle abrasive in that finishing sealant. So you can, but just buyer beware. You're probably going to impart some ill effects due to no foam interface taking away some of that energy.
Yep, and this is a good example of an effective one step here. So going across the line before and after, we've got the swirls and haze before over here, and then you come across and still some really fine defects left behind, but a much deeper, darker finish. We got out about 90% of those swirls. If I wanted to get the remaining swirls out of here,
Can you pinpoint that light a little bit more?
Yeah.
Just so maybe, it's not translating super well, but let's see if we can find that.
Okay, we're not seeing it on the camera here, but how about now?
A little bit.
So there's your swirls on this side. Come across and it's much darker. Eliminated, like I said, about 90% of the swirls. We could do an extra pass here. That's likely going to knock out any remaining light defects that are left behind.
Likewise, we did have a question about hard versus soft paint. Now, we know these panels to be a little softer, right?
Yes, so, absolutely. These are a PPG clear, definitely on the soft side.
So part of that is that when you use microfiber, you're asking a more aggressive interface to get more aggressive results. Now, on a soft paint surface, what you might see is haze,
yep.
right? So in that scenario, if you know the softness, hardness of your paint, you may opt for a foam as opposed to the combination that Sam chose. Now, I think part of your reason for showing it is that pad flexing, right?
Yep.
You can use an all-in-one product with a more aggressive pad, get great results, if not fantastic results. That doesn't mean that you can't use it with any of our other pads and change the result. And foam generally tends to lead to less potential for haze.
Absolutely. Yeah, usually the lighter your pad, the better it's going to finish. And foam pads will almost always finish better than a microfiber pad. So there is a little bit of haze in this here, and we can do a second test section over here with a foam and see where that gets us.
Can you demonstrate how you would add more polish to this pad
yes,
now that it's buttered as well?
absolutely.
We had a question about that.
So microfiber mats down. So this is, one pass. Normally when the pad's new, it'll mat down a little quicker, but this was after one section. So you can see the microfiber is matted. I'm not going to want to polish a new section with this. It's going to take me longer to get defect removal because of those matted fibers. So we're just going to take our pad brush, put the machine on, lightly brush out that pad, and fluff those fibers back up. You can do that with compressed air as well. Sometimes I use both, just depends. So now I already have some product on this pad, so I'm just going to apply a few drops around the edges and rub that in. Not near as much product the second time around. So now you'll use that amount every time you reapply. So pretty much, every section, every other section. And you'll gauge it, you don't have to reapply every time you move to a new section. Observe the product laying down on the paint. If you still have a good amount of product laying down and you're achieving the defect removal that you expect, you don't necessarily need to add more. Wait until the product's thinning out or you're not getting the same defect removal, then add more product there.
So we got a question. Lead Dog asked, what high school kid benefits from driving a Porsche? The answer is absolutely none. My buddy's S4 or 944 was not very nice, trust me. He kind of stumbled into that opportunity, and he was 17 and yes, that's what I want.
Yeah.
Like I said, he was thrashing that thing. He lived on an island nearby, Vashon Island, and he'd constantly bring it over to my garage and be like, yeah, I did this. I'm like, I'm not a body shop. We can polish this thing.
That will not buff out.
Yeah, but I would say he had fun, but smart, no, absolutely not.
I suppose you might do a little better with the ladies, but I don't know.
Yeah, I doubt it. I love you, Jake the Snake, but I don't think that 944 was helping too much with that. And then Andre Hold had asked, if you use a polishing pad as opposed to a finishing pad with finishing sealant, would that affect durability of the sealant?
Nope, not at all. So the pad isn't really going to impact your durability at all. It's just going to impact defect removal and the finish quality. So kind of back to the pads a little bit. A plain black finish like we're working on here is going to be by far the least forgiving of pretty much any paint color you'll work on. If this was metallic or a lighter color, you may not even see the haze from a microfiber pad. So a lot of times you'll want to test that to make sure that you're happy with the results you're getting with microfiber. On a plain black though, if I was doing a full car, one-stepping on a plain black finish, I would probably try a foam pad first and see how far that got me. So we can switch over here to our orange foam. This is a great pad to start with. Whether you're using an all-in-one or a more aggressive product, because it can tell you a lot about the paint surface and what you're going to need.
Can we try to tilt the panel up towards that camera?
Yeah.
We've got a couple requests, and
sure.
maybe we can get some light on it that way. You want to come? Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's much better.
Okay, great. Good
So you
suggestion,
get
guys.
those
We do listen
swirls
to
there.
you. Yeah.
Come across. Much less swirling, still some fine stuff left behind.
And again, you'll see a little haze. Now, somebody also asked what car did this come off of? It didn't come off of a car. We cut these panels specifically for this
They're
polishing table.
sheet steel painted with a PPG base coat, clear coat.
Yeah, and then
Plain black.
how did we determine it's soft? Just testing, honestly.
Yeah, working on it.
So that's part of the art of detailing, is that you kind of have to have a universal approach, like kind of your entry-level approach to any paint surface. I think most people get into a rhythm where they presume, okay, this is a modern GMC finish, I can treat it like this. This is a modern Toyota finish, I can do it like this. Oh, this is a 1970s Porsche finish. Now you get that with experience. First rule of detailing, do no harm, right? Try a very non-aggressive method and learn, right? Yep. And the paint is going to tell you, your eye is going to tell you what's going on. Now, if you use foam on and a mild abrasive on a hard paint system, you're probably not going to cure scratches, right? That's what's going to drive you nuts, and you're going to say, man, those are hard scratches to get out. I'm not seeing that. Maybe I had to up the abrasive, and if I up the grade of that abrasive, then I'm actually, going to understand, okay, it's a harder paint surface versus that same setup curing everything, right, on a different set of paint. So I would presume that may be softer. So it's really just a matter of touch, feel, experience. and starting somewhere and then going either less or more from that.
Yeah, all paint is different. So what you use on your neighbor's car may not work on the next vehicle that you detail. Like Nick said, experience is really what's going to get you there. There are a couple kind of general rules of thumb that I tend to use. Japanese cars, Japanese manufactured cars tend to have softer paint. They also tend to have thinner paint, so keep that in mind. And then German vehicles, European vehicles tend to have slightly harder paint. So that is a rule of thumb. You will come into scenarios where that may not be true. And then you always have cars that have repaints on them. Stevie and I actually detailed a black Audi not too long ago. It was plain black, and it had, I think, 4 different repainted sections that were all done at different times by different shops, and they all reacted differently to the processes we were using. So we had to change our process a few different times on that specific car. So you will run into tricky scenarios as well.
Yeah. So a couple guys, let's see. Swirl Finder Light, not a new product. Awesome product. With a lot of these LEDs, they'll get to a point where they peter out. We obviously have a lifetime guarantee against defect. We wouldn't want to sell you a piece of crap. It's not a cheap tool, but it's an awesome tool. You want to demonstrate the versatility of it?
Yeah, so a lot of features. You got a base magnet. Of course, don't do this to a car that you like, but you can magnet that to any metal surface or ferrous metal surface. You can stick that right on there. It also has magnets on your belt clip here, so you can clip that on your pocket, keep it at hand. And then these are nice. A lot of times if you're working under a hood, you can magnet it up under there. Then you have your pen light on the end, which is controlled by this side switch here. That pen light is quite bright, and you can dial it into a really focused square beam, so you can go from flood to a spot. And we kind of joke around about this light, call it the little devil light, because it'll make perfect paint look bad in some scenarios. It'll find defects in the most perfect of surface. And then you have your broad array LED here that is dimmable with the dimmer dial here, so you can adjust that easily. This is great for working under the hood, suspension, interior, stuff like that. I tend to use the pen light for when I'm trying to find defects. It'll be a little bit more critical, but the broad array light is also effective for looking at paint. So, if you don't have the ability to install, nice overhead lighting in your garage, or you don't want to spend the money on nice detail lights like our shop lights there, at least buy a good detail-oriented inspection light like the Boss Swirl Finder light. This will save you a lot of headaches. I always like to tell a story. One of the first details I did was on a black Viper. Did it in a dimly lit garage. Wasn't checking my work as I went. Pulled it out in the sun at the end of the day after about 8 hours, and there were still swirls left in the paint. So had to spend another 3 or 4 hours working on that car, and have never not used a light after that. So they will save you a lot of headaches for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so a lot of great questions. I really appreciate all of it. Fab, great input. Test spots, always a great way to gauge your results. Again, like we kind of explained, all paint systems are different. You're going to have some experience to kind of gauge that. And you'll probably, like you said, do two cars that are the exact same year, the exact same color, and they're going to respond differently. So testing is okay.
Always test.
Yeah.
It's quick and easy too.
Awesome. Let's see. Detailed whips. I'm thinking about getting the G15 Boss, but for some reason a lot of places no longer carry that. Is this a soon-to-be discontinued item? I've never used Griot's polishers before. Well, first and foremost, it's not discontinued, but we have run out of G15. So read that into what you want. But I would keep your eye out. And I'd say there's no reason not to try Griot's garage polishers. We have some exceptional polishers. Our G21 is still on the market. Our G9 and our G8, they're exceptional tools. We have put a lot of time, effort, and energy into engineering them, designing them for use for you all. And we have a lifetime guarantee against defect.
Lifetime guarantee.
You cannot beat that with a tool that you depend on, whether it be income base or your free time. and going to enjoy your therapy time in the garage.
Also means there's literally no risk in trying one of our tools if you haven't before. So.
180 days satisfaction guarantee, lifetime guarantee against defects. So we take care of you. Let's see, a complete Boss kit for the G9 Polisher. We do have a Boss Essentials kit currently available. I am getting yelled at right now because I want to say the website is fixed. And that means that we get to give you guys a promo code as well. So this is pretty cool. It's topical. If you're on the fence about the G9, we have got a special price for our G9 Starter Orbital Kit.
Nice.
So it is 20% off the G9 Starter Orbital Kit. That is good until tomorrow when you check out our website using SMHL3. Our wonderful team of IT and e-commerce professionals have resolved all problems, and now we can offer these great offers to you.
Yes, 20% off.
Yeah.
That's a great deal. You will almost never be able to buy an Orbital at 20% off.
Yeah, I think it's $135. You get a G9 6.5-inch orange correcting pad, 4 PFM dual weave wax removal towels, and liquid wax 3-in-1.
Oh, liquid wax, my bad.
That is legit.
Starter kit.
So yeah, if you've never used an Orbital before, this is the starter kit. This is how you get your feet wet. Jump right in.
Great way to go.
Again, use that code SMHL3. It is good until midnight tomorrow. So it happens fast.
Yep. Get on the website and buy away. All right, we'll go ahead and do another quick demo with the orange pad here just to show you guys the slightly different results you can get.
While you're doing that, Shannon, you've asked this question quite a few times. You use a super premium wax. I saw that you use Swiss Wax. Super nice products, incredibly expensive, hard for me to justify. But if you want to spend that money, and you definitely have some nice results. I know one of our vendors in Canada swears by it. It's awesome. But her question relates to, I spent all this money on a wax. Should I put a ceramic on top of it?
I would urge you to test it against the ceramic. So do a test section and see which one you like better. You may be surprised, and you might be able to save yourself a little bit of money.
Well, I think it relates a little bit to layering too, right?
Yeah.
If you're going to spend all this money on this expensive wax and then put something on top of it, you're essentially masking that wax by layering it. Now, you might have the finishing and filling effects, but the hydrophobic and properties of the ceramic are going to take over. So you're going to see mostly the ceramic reflected in your finish and your paint surface, but also, if that Swiss wax breaks down, guess what's going with it? The ceramic that you sprayed on. So that's an expensive way to treat your car. I might say that you would go the other way, but really that's a sticky situation. It's a lot of money to spend on car wax, and definitely you're kind of confusing two different purposes and two different products in terms of how they respond to water, how durable they are. So there's no easy answer to that, but that's about as much as I can really say there.
And they make great stuff. Testing products is fun though, and it can tell you a lot, so definitely don't hesitate.
Yeah, have some fun with it.
So I'm gonna start out again at speed 3. We're gonna do this section right over here, so I'll leave a little before section down at the bottom. Gonna do about the same number of passes this time. We still are trying to get all these defects out. And we'll be able to compare the different finishes provided between the microfiber foam here the microfiber pad here and the foam pad on this side. Quick spread, crank it up. One pass. So pay attention to how compressed your pad is. If you're totally pancaking your pad, you're probably using a little too much pressure. Pressure will wear your pads out faster too. I don't think we mentioned that, so it's an important thing to remember. Final pass. If you're new to orbital polishing, always make sure you start with your pad on the paint and stop with your pad on the paint. If If you lift the tool off with it running at high speed, you will sling product everywhere. Makes a big mess. Don't feel too bad if you do it on accident. Everybody does it at least once starting out.
Will we trade in one of our competitors' polishers? Unfortunately not. I mean, you can send
that
it.
would be a good program.
Yeah, I think that'd be pretty predatory. I think you're SOL, man. You should have done your research first and probably not gone with that other polisher. I guarantee, I saw the name, they're not matching our warranty.
You can try.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, you can send it in a trash bag to us and we can whip it around our heads and see if it works. Black Mamba asks, no disrespect in any way, do your correction polishes have fillers? No. The caveat here is that when you're using all-in-one products, you're essentially combining a filler, right? That filler is the protectant step.
Waxes and sealants will inherently have some filling ability.
I think what you're mostly trying to get at is, do our fast correcting cream, perfecting cream contain acrylics or silicones that made the paint look better than it should? Fillers, something that you'll see like a body shop do in order to make the paint look better. First time you wash it, oh, all the scratches are back.
Where'd those swirl marks and holograms come from?
Yeah.
But yeah, like Nick said, perfecting cream, correcting cream, and fast correcting cream contain no fillers or silicone. What you see is what you get. You can go ahead and challenge us on that. Strip half a section after you polish it, and I think you'll be pretty happy with what you see there. Our complete compound is another one that does not have any fillers or silicone. So those are all going to be considered body shop safe as well if you're working in a body shop environment.
Yeah, Z71 Black Mamba, you've been a winner here before, and I actually see you pretty active on social media, so thanks for your support. Looks like you're enjoying your ceramic, actually. I noticed that.
Yeah.
So,
we love seeing you guys post stuff. It is awesome, especially getting to know you from the live and then seeing you on social. Is he a winner? I think he's won.
He has won in the
once
past.
or twice.
He's won in the
maybe,
past,
so.
yeah.
Have we still only done one winner?
Yeah. We did get a promo, so let's see. All right, guys. Yeah, we're gonna give another winner, I guess, but we need a question from you all. So, why don't you tilt the panel up and show? Oh, what was your favorite?
There's a new guy in there. He's asked some good questions.
Is that Shannon?
Sheldon M, I think, was his handle in there. He asked a couple questions earlier that we addressed, and he said he was one of the first-time live viewers. So.
Okay, well, Sheldon, we're gonna find you, but you have won our giveaway pack, which is essentially all the products we're demonstrating, in addition to your Speed Shine and your Brilliant Finish synthetic clay to decontaminate.
And email us at social@griotsgarage.com with your contact info, and we'll get your giveaway out. That's if you're either of the two winners so far. I know Stevie's been commenting it on there for you to email us at social@griotsgarage.com. But again, if you are a winner, email us social@griotsgarage.com with your contact info.
Yeah. Tim Ray, I take great offense to you suggesting that there's no way to keep your wheels clean just because my Jeep was that dirty the other day, okay? I raised my hand and said I'm embarrassed, okay? Now you've doubly embarrassed me.
We've been shaming him for it, don't worry.
Yeah, unfortunately, in my car, only 2 brake sets work, or 1 brake set works, and it's the fronts. The rears are drums, and they definitely provide no stopping power.
Old 4-wheel drives, that's a big problem.
Yeah, and again, I'm having some maintenance done because of all the water leaks, and I just have been reluctant to wash it because of all my water damage. So there are, to answer your question, Tim, you can coat and or wax your wheels. All durability claims, when you go to wheels, you pretty much throw them out the window, all right? Because it's one of your strongest heat cycling elements on your car. So you're asking something to stay bonded in extreme temperatures, cold temperatures, extreme temperatures, just a lot of fluctuation there, unlike some paint surfaces where, yes, you can put it in sun, but it's not cycling quite as fast. Plus,
stable.
brake dust is nasty stuff. It will grip and pull. Yeah, you got the shot in. I took it. Not fully triggered because I did raise my hand, saying mea culpa, but They're the dirtiest they've
Classic.
ever been, for sure.
Oh yeah, we're just saving them for a sweet, wheel cleaning.
Yeah, we'll get a nice Instagram slow-mo bleed in about a couple weeks from now.
There you go. But ceramic 3-in-1, probably one of our best products for protecting your wheels. Super easy to apply to the wheels. The self-cleaning ability of it's going to help keep them clean longer as well. If you have carbon ceramic rotors, though, do not spray it directly onto your wheel. Spray it on your towel, then apply it to your wheel.
Yeah.
Tire dressings and any products with protective ingredients in them typically aren't friendly on a carbon ceramic rotor.
Yeah.
Those are not super common though. So
Yeah, I forgot. The ceramic 3-in-1 wax does really well on wheels. And in fact, you can spray that on and rinse it off as well and get some great protection.
especially if you have a base coat, great way to maintain.
So
it.
that, I like to try and pull my wheels off and treat them. I haven't done it with the Jeep just because my level of concern is a little lower.
Yeah, you can't even see the barrels on those wheels either. So
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to pick one more pre-submitted question, and then we did have some questions. If you guys want to see two-step corrections, we can do that as well. We thought we'd start here and do some processes. We did have another question. I read it in here. I don't have a name to it. Can you discuss what the different pad densities will do to the result?
yes, so great question. We started out with the microfiber, which is going to be the most aggressive of the 5 pad options that you see up here. So we've got our black foam. I'll put them in order of aggressiveness. Black foam being the least aggressive, yellow foam, orange foam, middle of the road, great starting point for a lot of paints. White foam is going to be our most aggressive foam, so this would be considered a cutting foam. Microfiber, this is the microfiber with the red foam interface. We also have another one that's slightly more aggressive that we don't have here, and that's the microfiber cutting pad with no foam interface, just microfiber. So that one will cut really hard. As far as the foam densities go, the firmer the foam, the more aggressive the pad. I don't know if you guys can pick this up on camera, but you can see I'm using the same amount of pressure here, and I'm getting a lot more impact on the black foam than I am on the white foam. So you can see that this is a much more dense foam. It's also a coarser foam, and you can hear it there, versus here, not near as coarse. So that's gonna do it up by my mic. There you go. Versus that one. So you can actually hear the difference in the foam there. So again, your denser foams, your more coarse foams are going to be more aggressive, while your softer, less dense, and smoother foams will be less aggressive, typically for finishing, light polishing, things like that. Now these can be used in an all-in-one process. Say it's on a vehicle that has softer paint and may only have light defects. The yellow foam or the black foam can get you to perfection on a vehicle that doesn't have severe defects or moderate to severe, or if it's softer paint as well. So I did this section here with the orange foam, and you guys can see, lift this panel up again. So we got microfiber over here. See that? There's a little bit of haze in there. Again, this surface is pretty soft, so this is a really good example. You get that microfiber haze there, come across that line, it gets a lot deeper and darker because there's no haze from the orange foam. So if this was a real car and I were doing a full detail on it, I think in terms of defect removal, we got really close with the orange foam to what we achieved with the microfiber, but the orange foam finished down much better. If I was doing this process on a whole car, I would go with that combo that we just used, the orange foam and the finishing sealant. So that's a good example of a quick test section or a process test that you can do on a car and determine which is your best path forward. And you can really do that with any combination of products that you're going back and forth between going with on the full car.
Sam, are we going to develop a portable battery polisher like the small nano? I'd say just wait and see, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. How many of you want it? If you raise your hand and commit to it, we might have to do it. But
We got a whole lot of stuff in the hopper right now.
I would suggest that, just keep your eyes peeled. We're working on all sorts of products. Not that, focused in particular, but we are going to be offering some unique polishing solutions, I think, in the future. So
Absolutely.
keep your eyes peeled. No promises, though.
They will be unique.
Yeah.
So-
Let's see. What else?
I didn't
What
give you
else
guys a
got?
before here either, but there's a before section at the top of the panel into that nice deep black.
Oh, good. Sheldon was
Very
still
few.
hanging out with us.
Very few defects left, so check that out there.
Yeah.
Is that coming through on the camera? A little bit. Okay.
Do not ceramic coat your kids, please.
Don't do that.
We're coming to the East Coast a couple times this year, Lead Dog. We're going to be in Raleigh, North Carolina. In April, we do a show in Nashville in May. We are going to be at the Mobile Tech Expo this weekend in Florida. We forgot to talk about that.
That's going on right now.
Yeah, so if you are a professional, you're in the Florida area. I don't know if it's open to the public, but
I do think you have to register,
yeah.
I believe.
Yeah.
We'll also be at our facility in Indy several times in the spring, summer as well. We're doing caffeine and gasoline events out there in the spring and summer months. So keep your eye out for those if you're local to the Indy area.
Yeah.
Not quite East Coast, but.
So we had a question about a guy who had asked he tried to, for his first time, he used a rotary and he left hazing on his 2012 Honda Civic. Which cream do you recommend? Well, the creams, again, you're probably going to have to diagnose it. It's safe to say if you've got rotary swirls or holograms, fast correcting cream is probably going to be what you need. But again, you can pad tune or you can always start with correcting cream, see if you can remedy them.
That's what I was going to say. Start with correcting on the orange foam. That's a really good starting point. That'll tell you a lot about whether or not you can go lighter or whether or not you need to go more aggressive. So
yeah,
that also finishes down well. In my experience on moderate to soft paint, like what you likely have on the Honda, that's going to work pretty well at getting out rotary holograms.
Yeah,
if it's harder surface, you may need to bump up to fast correcting cream.
So basically, a dual action random orbital can really step in and cure some of the byproducts of that higher heat direct drive, right? In fact, swirl marks can be created by rotaries, holograms can be created by rotaries. That's where the DA comes in and does the finishing work.
Yeah, and DAs, I mean, you should really almost always be finishing paint with a random orbital. You won't have near the headaches that rotaries can cause with swirls and holograms and things like that. Rotaries can be great for the cutting stage, especially if you're working on a sanded surface, but when it comes to finishing, that's where the random orbital strength.
Yeah, a lot of questions about the plush microfiber edgeless towels.
These are the bee's knees, man. They're the best towels out there for wiping things off when you're working with wax residue, polish residue. They're by far our softest towels as well, so edgeless design, no scratch points, and the plushest microfiber you can find. These will not scratch even the most delicate surfaces unless you're super heavy-handed, but very, very delicate, user-friendly towel. 16 by 16 size. I believe these are 470 GSM, I want to say. So they are a pretty solid GSM as well. But yeah, I mean, you can use these for all kinds of stuff. We had initially kind of targeted them as the replacement for our Speed Shine and Spray on car wash cloths. But they're great for wiping off polish and wax residue as well. So.
Yeah. So Yvonne, Ivan, if you've been using a rotary and you're going into the DA world, now's a great time. We're going to put that promo up one more time. We are doing a special offer for our G9 starter orbital kit. Till tomorrow at midnight, you get 20% off. That comes to about $135, which is a great deal. You get a G9, orange correcting pad, liquid wax 3-in-1, and 4 wax dual weave towels. Now, liquid wax 3-in-1 may not cure all your holograms, but even so, you've got your DA and you're in the world of that. You can get comfortable. You'll understand how much safer and easier to use it is than a rotary. And you can always up to a more aggressive abrasive at some point in time in the future. I'm not going to suggest that liquid wax 3-in-1 is going to cure all of the holograms. It's really not that aggressive of an abrasive.
No, it probably won't, but you could always cut with a different product, get those out, and then finish with the liquid wax 3-in-1.
No doubt, but it's a great time. If you want to jump into the DA world, G9 starter kit comes with a 6-inch backing plate, 6.5-inch orange correcting pad, and then all the other stuff we talked about. So it's a great deal.
Another thing we haven't really mentioned yet, I don't think, is using all-in-ones or one-step products as finishing products during a more intensive correction regimen. So say you started with a heavier compound like fast correcting cream or complete compound, and you need to do a second step. So you want to get the paint refined further. The all-in-ones can also be used for that. So like finishing sealant's a great option. Say you started with fast correcting cream and a microfiber pad, and you're working on a plain black finish. You want to get it perfect. Come in with your finishing sealant on either your yellow or your black foam for your final step. That prevents you from having to do a third step with a protectant product. Get the finish down to where you want it, and apply protection with the finishing sealant in that second step as well. So they don't only serve as one-step products. You can also use them to finish after a more aggressive process.
The title was one-step process, Sam.
Well, true.
You're jumping
sorry.
into two-step processes.
The two-step question just got me going.
Yeah.
We might need a longer live for the two-step though, because that's where
Yeah, I
things
mean,
can
we're
really get a
running
little
up. We're
complicated.
at 5:20. We got to give one more of these things away, at least.
I'm supposed to be taking my wife out tonight, guys.
Yeah,
so.
Juan Alvarez, do you suggest 5 or 6 inch backing plate for starters? G9 comes equipped with a 6-inch. I think you'll probably work your way to a 5-inch right away. What you're going to get is just a little bit more maneuverability, fitted in a little bit tighter spaces. But if you're just starting out, a little bit of wiggle room is never going to hurt you.
No. And the 5-inch is great if you're doing a lot of modern cars too. I used it today just because we're working on a pretty small surface, and I wasn't sure how many demos we'd be doing, so I didn't want to take up too much room with 6-inch pads on here.
Yeah. E30 M3 or 964 Carrera? E30 M3.
Oh.
I may own one of those, and it's getting repainted. So.
I've been salivating over Porsches lately, so I think I'm going to go with the 964.
Not a bad choice. There's really no loser in that question.
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah.
They're both iconic, phenomenal cars.
All right. Well, let's see. What else do we have to talk about?
We got 2 winners so far.
We got 2 winners. Got to give out one more winner.
Couple more winners.
One more winner.
At least one more.
We're gonna get one more because, like you said, you got to take your wife out. I got some work to do tonight, so.
I think she's still dropping the kids off.
Tim Ray, deal on the G8, probably next time. We are out of stock currently in the G8.
Yeah.
Again, all of our tools have been selling exceptionally well, so to say that we're surprised they're doing so well, not really. To say that we're surprised that we have sold so many that we ran out before we thought we were going to,
Yeah, a little surprised.
Pretty happy about that.
Very happy about that.
Yeah, if you purchase a G8 tonight, it will be on back order. I think we're looking at about a week to 10 days. So just so you're aware of that, you can still buy them. We won't have a discounter code applied to that, but
Yeah, check back on the website. We constantly update those available dates when we do have back orders going. So
you know what? I'm gonna give Lead Dog. He made me laugh quite a bit with that high school kid.
yeah,
Which high school kid needs a Porsche? So Lead Dog, you're gonna win our giveaway. You are gonna get some of those blue towels and all the other stuff we talked about, including that Boss Swirl Finder light. So yeah, enjoy. A G7 coming out. We're going to run out of numbers at some point, I'm pretty sure.
G7. G8 and a half.
Yeah, Brett T, again, back order. We're looking at probably about, I'd say probably, I think I said 7 to 10. I'd err on 10 days, and we'll overpromise. Or,
Underpromise,
over-deliver. So, yeah. You guys are all winners. You're hanging out with us, so... We do generally tend to do some follow-up posting of the winners. Again, if you are a winner, Lead Dog, we just implicated you. Email us at social@griotsgarage.com. That way we can get your shipping information, get you your prize shipped to you as soon as possible. Let's see. First timer, winner. We got Dan. I know you. I've seen you submit a lot of questions, but I need a winner. I need a winner of a question. Go deep into your.
Get into it, guys. Come on. If you're new too, don't forget to subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Like the thumbs up button.
Yeah.
Hit that one on every video.
Instagram,
Facebook.
Facebook.
You can just go to our YouTube channel and go to every video and hit the thumbs up button if you want. That's always cool with us. Or, just turn the channel on loop and leave it playing. Turn your speakers off, whatever.
There is a
We like the views.
there is a clay pad for the DA as well. It's a 6-inch pad, so it is available on our website right now.
Yeah, the surface prep pad.
How often do you need to clean your pads? Every time you use them. And again, it's a miserable task, but it must be done. Pads, these aren't one-time use things. If you take care of them, if you don't run them into like sharp objects and trim while you're polishing, there's no way for them to prematurely degrade outside of poor care and cleaning, and oversaturation and which leads to higher heats, which will break down the pads. So cycle your pads, clean them up every time you use them. You're going to get plenty of life out of them.
Yeah, the longer you let them sit with product in them, the harder they're going to be to clean too. So the sooner you clean them, the better. Easier it'll be on you. And don't let them build up like I used to. It's no good.
Okay, Jonathan Garza, can you achieve the maximum amount of correction while still achieving a nice clean finish, free of marring with the one-step? You can definitely create a finish free of marring with a soft foam pad. You're not going to get the ultimate correction with one step. That's not the goal of this. It's a maintenance step, and or like Sam said, it could be the finishing step to a two-step process. You're getting a combination of products that allows you to do a process efficiently, and a selection of finishing protection, whether it be polymer sealant or carnauba wax, depending on how you use your car. So that's not really the nature of a one-step to get maximum correction.
Yeah, if you're looking for the best correction and a nice final finish out of a very aggressive product, the fast correcting cream is going to be phenomenal for you. This stuff corrects like mad and finishes down very, very well for a product that pulls defects as well as this does.
All right, Todd
Definitely check
Sherman,
it out.
we're going to revisit this. We did say it earlier, but if you're just joining us, best way to clean pad. A, immediately after use, or before they dry. So typically the night after, or after you're done with your entire process, just clean them right away. You can soak your pads. I saw somebody suggest that earlier.
Hot water, soak them in hot water.
Soak them in hot water. That'll loosen everything up if some of your more aggressive abrasives have dried. Some of these one-step products won't dry immediately, so you've got a little bit more time. But I like to take my pads in the sink, run warm water over the face, kind of twist and knead after applying soap, whether it be microfiber foam pad cleaner, knead it in with my thumbs and then wring it to get the excess product out. Continue that process until you're not seeing anything that isn't clear water drain out of the sides of your pads.
Yeah, you don't want suds coming out of them as you're wringing them.
Yeah, and then air dry them. If you can machine wash your pads, you can machine dry your pads. Machine drying, I would not recommend.
Well, and if you do like no heat, ideally, most dryers have a no heat or like a fluff air setting. I've used that in the past because it'll spin some of the liquid out of them. Then you can pull them out of there and set them aside to air dry the rest of the way. You can speed up dry time. Like say you have a detail the next day, you got to guarantee your pads are dry for the next day. I've also seen guys that after they wash them, they'll throw them on their Orbital and spin it up to spin a lot of the water out of them. That's an okay way to do it as well. Just make sure you're in a space where you're not making a huge mess, or and be cautious using the Orbital around water as well. Yeah. I've seen guys pressure wash pads as well. That's pretty popular with a lot of professionals these days. Just keep in mind, if you're pressure washing your pads, you're probably going to shorten the life of them because the pressure washer is going to be beating them up. So don't expect them to last quite as long if you're doing it that way.
All right, we've got another winner. He submitted the first question about ultimate correction from a one-step. So Jonathan Garza, you're going to win, and your last question that you're going to win on, but you've been submitting some great ones, so we really appreciate your participation, your in-depth and pointed questions. So would the one-step have the same results on darker colored vehicles, especially black, as lighter colored vehicles, or would a multi-step be recommended for darker ones?
That's a great question. I mean, a lot of it depends on what your expectations are, I would say. Finishing sealant is going to be the best finish out of all of the all-in-one products on a plain black. This is gonna finish down the best on a foam pad. You shouldn't get any haze whatsoever from this product. But that really depends on what your expectations are, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want a perfect finish, then you're probably gonna benefit the most from doing 2 steps. Using a more aggressive step to get out all the moderate to heavy defects, and then a finishing step to refine that deep plain black, get the depth back out of it, get rid of any haze that your first step caused, and achieve true perfection. If that's what you're going after, 2 steps is normally going to be your best route.
Yeah, generally, I mean, in particular, if the paint surfaces, clear coat, were the same, you would get the same effect. However, your defects are going to be magnified by the darker color below than they are on a lighter car. So your question is kind of, again, addressed well by what are your expectations, first and foremost. Multiple steps generally get you better results. However, you're not going to see as many defects on a light colored car as you are on a black colored car. So you might get to the point where like, oh, that one step really brightened up my silver car. Well, of course it did. Silver wasn't ever really a terrible looking color to begin with if it had clear coat on it. But my black car has never been looking that great. Black, that's the nature of black. It looks best when it's clean. It's hardest to maintain. It's a badge of pride if you have a scratch-free black car, which is kind of an oxymoron.
Dude, there's nothing better than clean, defect-free black paint, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's always a good test to do as well. I like to do that on a lot of cars that I'm in question on. You know, maybe I haven't worked on it before, or it's just, you know, I want to try a couple options out. Do a 1-step section, do a 2-step section next to it, and you know, on some finishes, especially lighter finishes or metallics, the difference may be marginal, and if it's not a huge difference, you may say, okay, I'm happy with this 1-step. I'm not getting it that much better with the 2-step, so I'm gonna go with that. Or you'll be like, okay, wow, the 2-step, no haze, perfect, whereas my 1-step, there's a little bit of haze on a plain black finish, so I'm gonna do the 2-step. But again, expectations and doing those test sections.
Yeah, I mean, what else do you want to do with your day, right?
Yeah,
you know,
that's a great point.
You got 4 hours to go around your car, improve the paint, leave protection behind. 1-step's a great option. You know, I don't really want to spend a ton of time doing my wife's car.
Yeah, me
because
either.
she appreciates having a clean car, but at the same time, I'm not going to spend the same time on a Tahoe as I am on a Porsche. So again, how much time do you have? What are your expectations? Are you going to just go hammer this car and drive it through a drive-through wash again? Don't spend 20 hours correcting the paint. So, you know, a little bit of relativity. So, did you get Jonathan Garza as a winner? Okay, so he is our winner. We might do one more, but we are going to get going pretty soon. Let's see, Griot's University. Yeah, I mean, we essentially have Griot's University every week. We come here, right?
Yep.
We're trying to educate you. If you're in the Tacoma area, you can come to our car care schools. If we go do an event nearby you and you're part of a car club, you may actually be invited to that tech session. Or if you see our events team anywhere out in the country, you can go and ask them. They're all Griot's Garage employees. They all have a great amount of knowledge. They will show you hands-on demos on, we have equipment there for that specifically. So our goal is to educate you so that you can have fun.
And we will have more training options in the future. We're working on some new stuff right now, so keep an eye out for that.
Okay, we're gonna do one more. We've got that promo code for a Boss Starter Kit. It is live, our website is working. That code is SMHL3. You get 20% off a G9 starter kit that has everything we demonstrated here. 6.5-inch film correcting pad, the G9 random orbital polisher, awesome tool. Let's see, 4 wax removal towels.
SMHL3.
Yeah.
Write it down.
How much pressure can you put on a G9 before it stops the rotation?
Ooh,
Too much. You don't need to try that.
Oh, come on, let's show them.
All right, fine, yeah. Sam's gonna lean into it for you.
It's tough to bog these tools down. 1,000 watts of power is tough to contend with. So we'll crank it up to speed 6. Get some mad pad rotation going there. And it's still spinning, guys. Still spinning.
Yeah, your face is pretty red while you're doing that, so you're definitely exerting some pressure.
I think I lifted my feet off the ground there, so.
Yeah.
You can put a lot of pressure behind these, but you don't need to. I would not recommend really ever putting that much pressure behind your paint unless you're trying to do some damage.
Yeah, Andre, you can use the G9 with the Boss Creams. They definitely amp up the capability of the G9. So feel free to use those on your G9. The Indianapolis facility is not open to the public to tour our factory. We are working on a video to show you behind the scenes there. However, if you're in the Indianapolis area, you can call ahead, place an order, and pick it up there. So if you do call our 1-800 number and you tell them you live in the Indianapolis area, they will set your order for pickup. So you can do that. Yeah, and save your shipping.
And we do sometimes open up parts of the facility during like the garage sales that we do out there every once in a while. It's been a few years since that, but there may be one in the next couple of years. And then the caffeine and gasoline events too. I think sometimes they open up some of the area. Yeah. Depending on the weather.
All right, guys. Well, we'll do one more recap, and then we're gonna tune out for the foreseeable future. We will be back in 2 weeks. It's gonna be Sam and Stevie. I get a little bit of a vacation, which is nice. I'm excited for, but so we're gonna be back in 2 weeks, so you can tune in with more questions.
Nice to me.
Follow us on Instagram, Facebook for more information about those upcoming events, and of course your chance to submit questions on the YouTube Live. So last question will be one more recap of the differences between our all-in-one products. Now, categorically, these all-in-one products are all the same in that they feature a mild abrasive paired with a last step protectant. So that's the biggest difference is, the abrasive is slightly different in finishing sealant, but really what is left behind on the paint after the process is done.
So best for long throw application, can also be used on standard random orbitals. Gonna provide the best finish quality. Not as quite as durable as these two products. This is gonna be a combination of natural waxes and some synthetics. Then you have your one step, which is all synthetic. This one uses a slightly larger abrasive, so in some soft finishes you may see a light haze from this, but this is going to be the most durable of the three. So
awesome for RVs, fiberglass boats, any gel coat applications. You got a John Deere tractor you want to shine up, one-step sealant.
This also has some ingredients that have some cleaning abilities. So if you have like paint transfer, you bumped a parking divider at the gas station or something like that, this will also help take that out a little bit easier.
Also, that's the one that Sam and I both agree made us the most money detailing. So if you're getting into detailing, it's a great way to start. It's a great, safe way to use it.
Just a great all-in-one product.
Yep.
Easy to wipe. All these are really easy to wipe off as well. And then your liquid wax 3-in-1, Carnauba based. This is going to be a little better on darker finishes. Comparable defect removal to the one step. It'll be more durable than finishing sealant, but slightly less durable than one-step sealant. So normally you'll get, half a year or so out of this if you're maintaining it correctly. Of course, durability does have a lot of variables involved. Maintenance, how you're washing the car, the environment you're in, how the car is stored, garage kept, outside, so on.
All right, we've been challenged to toss this onto the backing plate.
Oh, money.
Not perfectly centered, but that was one try.
Here,
okay.
should we spin the plate and see how far it launches?
Oh. All right. Okay, you got to try. Get over there.
All right.
All right, and then we're out of here.
I think we did this at a company picnic once.
Oh.
Like a fair game.
All right, one more try.
Missed. Oh, God.
All right. Okay, not perfectly centered. All right.
No, not at all. Yeah, you don't want to buff with your pad like that, guys.
Okay, well, guys, again, we'll see you in a couple weeks. We're going to end the stream with that promo code. You have until midnight tomorrow. Thank you so much for tuning in. We love doing this with y'all.
Super fun time.
Yeah, thank you for participating. Until next time.
Have fun in your garage.
Have fun in your garage.